Pochettino's introduction to the national team has brought a little bit more instability.
Bro, they're maybe not as great as we thought they would be.
If we had to qualify for the World Cup, I think we might miss it.
So was that 4 losses now in a row? And we have only a year left before the World Cup starts. So let's see where this team stands on the way to the World Cup. And that's why it's our top topic.
That's right. So especially the game against Switzerland. And this is where the beginning of this conversation starts, because we expected it to be better than the game against Turkey, right? And it was worse. It was not better at all. So let's get right into it. As far as this situation, how bad is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, we'll give our thoughts. But how
10 being the worst?
Yes,
this is absolute horrific. Everybody gets sacked. Everybody got to get fired. 1 being like, yo, we're right where we want them, bro.
We're playing possum.
This is it, bro. This is going to plan. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to have to say, again, 10 being the worst, this is starting to, I wanted to say 6, but this is starting to feel like an 8. So I'm going to meet in the middle and say 7.
Yeah.
Maybe even 7.5.
I'm gonna say 8. I'm gonna say it's worse.
Okay. I thought you were gonna go soft.
No, never, bro. 3 years of marriage.
Yeah. This kid still got it. Okay. Without a pill, bro.
We got one of those sponsors, Carter. We need to get one.
Yo, let's go with Red Shoe, whatever the other one is, bro.
So, no, because I think we're at a point where the 4 losses, sure, are not ideal. But if it was, to be honest, if it was 4 losses, but still the same roster and still the A squad, I would be like, okay, maybe Pochettino's trying stuff out. But the fact that the roster in itself is a little bit all over the place. There's a bunch of names that we're getting first-time call-ups, which I appreciate and I love to see that, but it doesn't necessarily instill a ton of confidence in the stability of the national team. Arguably, Pochettino's introduction to the national team has brought a little bit more instability, and that's partly, look, the Club World Cup, and he's not able to access, he doesn't have the players that he probably would want to have there. The situation with Christian Pulisic, who is taking a break to rest and recover, stuff like that. But where we were from Berhalter to where we are now with Pochettino, it's not better. I think that's pretty objectively true. I'm generally,
you could make the argument that we've taken a step back, and maybe it's temporary. I'm assuming it's temporary.
I'm assuming that too.
And I'm fine with saying, all right, I'm new to the system. I'm new to the players in this country. I'm new to the entire roster and the capabilities. So I'm going to have to take some big swings and some big chances on some players that maybe don't have the chemistry. And I'm going to have to watch it in friendlies that feel a bit more meaningful because of the lack of time available. Right?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with all of that. What I'm not comfortable with is the way it's being played out on the pitch. For me, it just feels like best case scenario with this Gold Cup roster. Best case scenario was our A squad balls out in Gold Cup and uses this last competitive tournament to say, like, yo, we're heading into the World Cup with a lot of confidence, because look at how, even if you didn't win, but you balled out and you did your best, and maybe it was a free kick or something that you lost on. And I know I've said that before, but that's like the feeling I have. Like, there's a positive you could take from it. What we've seen is a group of players where maybe you could pick out 1 or 2 instances where you're like, oh, okay, maybe this dude got something, right? The Jack McGlynn goal stands out. Maybe, all right, that's something we could say, like, all right, maybe there's a chance for you in the World Cup roster. But what I haven't seen was this young core of players that are playing spirited, that are taking big chances, that are playing brave. I don't see a coach giving them the tactics or the ability to do that, where I walk away saying, like, yo, that A squad that ain't here, whether for a good reason or not, has got some pressure on their back right now.
Yeah.
They've got to really ball out to keep their stuff. No one's written in pen. Everyone's written in pencil. This thing could be anybody. That competition that you seemingly see in every other mature footballing nation How is it that when we look at what happened in 2018 and we saw this young group of players, they did that. They put pressure on the old guys to say, like, you know what? Y'all didn't do good enough. Y'all didn't get us to the World Cup. We gonna take over. And they pushed. How is there not another group behind? And that's the part that's like so saddening, is that a lot of people don't even believe our A squad is that good. And maybe I still look at it with like rose-colored glasses from the past and say, man, but they balled down. They were young and they're maturing and they're getting even better and they're playing for big clubs. And they're going to be so much better than the early 2000s squad that everybody talks about. They got to the quarterfinals. They're already better than them. And I still have that vision. I still have that belief. And now I'm looking, I'm like, bro, they're maybe not as great as we thought they would be. And now behind them ain't really anybody saying like, yo, everybody out of my way. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, the closest person I think that is doing that is like making a case for themselves, probably Diego Luna.
Diego Luna and Jack McGlynn in instances, maybe.
Yeah, it's just, but it's not even like we spoke about this in the last episode, but just like the quality from that A squad to this squad, I think is
also Malik Tillman looks the part now. To me, that's a guy.
Sure.
That's a guy who will be knocking on the door of a starting spot in the World Cup. I don't know if he gets to it, but we'll be knocking on the door of that because he has risen up a level. So I want to make sure I give him credit. Not to say that we haven't seen any. And you're right, Diego Luna. But
yeah, I just think that the situation that with hosting the World Cup, and that's a big difference from those early 2000s USMNT rosters to now, is that we're in the World Cup, we're hosting it. I mean, maybe this is like a hot take. I think if we had to qualify for the World Cup, I think we might miss it.
Yeah,
based on
what? Well, it is a 48-team World Cup. So maybe not.
But
you're right. It wouldn't be easy.
It wouldn't be easy. Yeah.
Right.
And again, any match in the last year hasn't necessarily been easy, but there should have been a little bit a better result. So I think there's
Look at Canada.
What about
Look at Canada? They're playing above their pay grade.
Yeah.
And the US are not. Right now you could
Panama is as well.
Panama is as well. But you can make the argument that Canada right now stands atop the CONCACAF.
Yeah.
You can make that argument. And that's with a coach who the U.S. didn't want to hire. And they went out and got a coach with a much longer resume.
Yeah.
A much greater resume, for sure. It hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. I mean, look, after the game against Switzerland, Pochettino had a bunch of statements. Like he accepted.
He blamed himself.
He blamed himself. Accept the responsibility.
He said he was trying to give guys minutes. Maybe he didn't pick the right 11s.
And it's like, yes, I understand. Like, I appreciate the candor. I appreciate the accountability.
It's the right thing to say, for sure.
But these results can't be like we only have the Gold Cup. As far as like real competitive matches, the friendlies are to see sort of where we stack up to the rest of the world, and maybe he's tinkering a little too much, and again trying to give guys minutes and all this other stuff, and maybe there is something to be said about being a little bit meaner about like those precious minutes and who you give them to and who you feel really deserves them, and not just be like, oh, it's a friendly. Let's see what we got here. Let's mix it. It's like because
we don't have time. If this was 2 years ago, I'd be like, get out there, bro.
You take the risk of hurting your own reputation and the team's reputation as well.
And the confidence.
And it puts a lot of. It was weird watching the post game interviews with all the players. That I saw they did one with Tim Ream. They did one I think with
Walker Zimmerman.
Yeah. And there's a fireworks show happening behind them, celebrating going into the Gold Cup and all this stuff. Like this amazing send-off, and you got smacked 4-0. Look, credit to them. Second half was better than the first.
Congrats. But the first was a 4-0 drubbing.
Clean sheet in the second, though.
Yeah.
So we gotta,
for both teams. They got scored on every 10 minutes. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. What was we had a stat. I forgot where the stat was. It's the first time that the U.S. has given up 4 goals
since 1980 against Mexico.
So I thought it was
first time ever at home.
First time ever at home. So it's really, I mean, it's an embarrassing loss. And obviously something like that shouldn't happen. It was in Nashville. Walker Zimmerman at his team's stadium. And it's like to go out and get smacked in that way where it wasn't even the frustrating part was like Matt Turner had we were debating this, like how at fault was Matt Turner for that third goal, I believe. In my mind, it's like it's not 100%, but it's fairly
a
high.
significant amount.
Yeah, he could have done better. I just thought like the defending there was. I think credit to Switzerland. Like even I forgot who took the shot, but it was like I didn't necessarily think he was going to shoot. Like
it was a fairly speculative shot. Yeah.
So that's the to have that before, not even just before going into Gold Cup, but just a year out. Going into the World Cup.
It's like you and your girl having an argument on your way to your anniversary dinner. You know, it's like, we're not really setting a precedent. You know, like you walk in angry, and the maitre d's like a bottle of champagne.
Right, it's a little hard to put a smile on your face during the dinner.
Yeah.
So
the situation with the men's national team is not great. You know what else isn't great? Our views right now, and you can help that by clicking the like button. Do it right this moment.
So we decided to talk about this World Cup roster and decide what 25 players.
We got our 25 man
So
roster.
if you follow us on Instagram, you'll have seen that we put our entire roster. But so you can see it there. I mean, let's just really focus on, and nothing's necessarily a huge surprise for a lot of the names. Just a couple of things. So with goalkeepers, we have some differences here. Yeah. You have Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, and Matt Freese. I have Matt Turner, Patrick Schulte, and Matt Freese. So Zach Steffen, what's your case for Zach Steffen?
Experience. So my argument for this was simply let's bring in people that are playing. I'm going under the impression that Matt Turner will get a move this summer. Right now, it's looking like it could possibly be Lyon. If that's the case, I'm expecting Matt Turner to start with more consistent minutes. I think we'll see the Matt Turner of old. And if that's the case, I think he is your number one starter. And I think also, just for me, Zach Steffen brings another bit of experience, someone who has played at the highest level, and I think he's going to offer a little bit of calm. And Matt Freese is your potentially gets there. Potentially gets to that spot, maybe in case of an injury or something, starts a game or two.
I would just say for me, form, that's kind of what I think there's enough experience, and the form of Schulte is I like it a little bit better than Steffen, but I don't think it's like,
I can't argue that.
That far ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Defenders, the difference is here. I have Cameron Carter-Vickers. You have Alex Freeman.
I do have Alex Freeman.
So that's one where I've been seeing the comments even so we posted our roster again.
Yeah, go on. People said he doesn't even belong watching the game.
Yeah, Alex Freeman, which I World Cup, Gold Cup, I'm a little bit like, all right, let's give him a chance to see.
Yeah.
He's been balling out for Orlando. World Cup, I don't think he's ready for that yet. But Cameron Carter-Vickers, for me, provides a good form. He's playing at Celtic, and has to defend a lot, especially when he's playing in European competitions. So that's my case for him. But I
don't dislike the CCV pick, because part of me just believes like his time with the U.S. national team seems to be done. He doesn't get called in that much. When he's made a few mistakes. So for me, I went with versatility, right? So we both have Austin Trusty. Austin Trusty is one of those players that like in a pinch could play defensive midfielder, could play left back. In a pinch, if really versatile, really good in the air now. I mean, he's really changed his game. Mark McKenzie as well. And that's why I picked Alex Freeman. He seems to me like with another year, knowing that there's a potential future on the men's national team, he's athletically and physically a freak. He's one of those people that I feel like if he just solidified his game a little more and got some of the basics just a bit more solid where you can depend on him, you can really almost play him anywhere on that back line. Sure. I don't think he gets a lot of burn, but he's one of those guys, if a center back goes down, a right back goes down, a left back goes down, a defensive midfielder goes down, you'll throw this guy in and he can do the job for like 20 minutes.
Sure. The only other difference also, you have Christopher Lund, I have Max Arfsten, which I think... Right. Not much necessary conversation. It's like they're both backups, and that's just.
They also both play the same thing, which is run forward and bomb.
Right.
I picked Lund because he has more experience playing with those guys, and also speed demon down the left
side.
Fair.
Okay. Midfielders. The differences. We have a couple differences here.
Yeah.
All right, so you have...
I threw in Aiden Morris.
Yeah, you have Aiden Morris in there. I do not have Aiden Morris as a midfielder, so I just...
You picked an extra attacker.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I can. The only negative Aiden Morris is just like He dealt with a lot of injury last season. Again, anything can happen in this season. Will be in the championship with Middlesbrough. It's not crazy that he could make it. I just think it's not super likely. But I can understand making the case for him.
He is a bit of a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
A bit, not much. Again, I think one MLS Cup, was one of the best midfielders at Columbus, certainly in MLS. Deserved the move to Middlesbrough, but also under the tutelage of a Michael Carrick, I think has become a better midfielder. Where he fits, him and Tanner Tessman kind of feel similar to me in the sense that, like, you're both incredibly good at what you do, but don't have the versatility that I think a Pochettino may be looking for in the midfield.
Yeah.
Like you get with a Yunus Musso, you can play in multiple positions, even though maybe he doesn't have a solidified position where Aiden Morris and Tanner Tessman do. But I think when it comes to a World Cup, you need some of those guys. You need some of those guys that you can say, like, I'm going to plug you in and I know exactly what you're going to do here versus you're going to be an 8 out of 10 in 3 positions. I need you to be a 9 out of 10 in this one position.
Yeah.
To me, Aiden Morris is that guy. So again, I might be wrong, but I feel like he's the type of player I want to see in the World Cup roster because I know what I'm getting out of you.
That is fair. That is fair. Okay, attackers, we have a lot of differences here. Okay, so we could just go through all of them, right? So
one of them completely shocked me you didn't pick.
That's fair. Balogun, I have Balogun, Pepe, Pulisic, Weah, Haji Wright, Brendan Aronson, and Paxton Aronson.
Okay, so you're getting the whole Aronson family. Let's get a trip to the World Cup.
Mr. and Mrs. Aronson are also on the squad.
I also have Balogun. I also have Pepe. I also have Pulisic. I also have Weah. I don't have Haji Wright or either of the Aronsons. I picked Patrick Agyemang because, again, with another year, I think now that he's sort of felt that U.S. men's national team, he's touched it.
And it seems like Pochettino likes him.
Yeah. He does offer something that not many other do, which I think he offers a better version of Haji Wright in a way, like in a year, maybe he's already better. But I picked your countryman, the Dominican Republic Wonder Youth, Kevin Paredes, and you did not.
I mean, is that a wild shock? But I mean, it's not out of because I don't believe in him. For the World Cup,
de lo tuyo, bro. This is your guy.
For the World Cup, it's not anything to do with his play. Himself. I think it's again injury. He's had a really, really long. He was not playing for Wolfsburg for. I mean, it was 8-9 months. It was just such a long,
nearly a year,
injury, and he just has terrible luck with this stuff. And I just think he hasn't gotten a injury-free season to really be who he to reach that potential. And I just hope he takes care of himself. He was at the Olympics. I thought he was our best player. I thought
incredible.
He was and showed a lot of leadership at the Olympics. So he is. I love that he got that experience. So I would say if he has an injury-free season, I don't think he is going to be an attacker and a forward.
I think I originally put him in my midfielders, but I'm thinking of him as a winger.
Yeah, I think he'll be a wing back. He'll be a full back. He could play left back very easily.
I can see that.
So I do think he's more effective as a right winger. But I would if I was putting together a World Cup squad and he has a good year, I would put him as like a backup left back. So I
would prefer to see him left wing as a forward left wing, because I think him driving at defenders is what he does incredibly well, and I want to see more of that. But again, using his speed up and down those wings, especially if we go 3 at the back with an Austin Trusty on the left hand side, bro, him as a wing back. Crazy.
All right. Well, Pochettino's not going to do that.
He's not going to do anything I just said. But again, if it were me, maybe arguably a better choice than Pochettino.
So Patrick Agyemang, I think if Ricardo Pepi is at full fitness and healthy, I don't think Patrick Agyemang is on a World Cup roster, and I just think Pepi is better and has a similar type of profile.
I could see that.
So
I think Ricardo Pepi is the starter come World Cup.
Sure. And then, which is interesting. Some people, I think Balogun, but and then for the Paxton Aronson, again, he had a fantastic season, best season of his career at FC Utrecht, and looked reaching a new level of confidence. And
if he gets on the Eintracht roster fully and starts, I'm with you.
Sure. Okay. So that that is our 25. Put them up on the screen again, just so people get another reminder. But let's move on to our 11s. Who do you think should start at the World Cup in 2026?
Let's take a look at your 11. Let's take a look at your 11 first. So this is how we feel. They will be lining up, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how we feel they're going to come out. So for goalkeeper, you have.
I have Matt Turner.
Okay, so Matt Turner. From left to right, Anthony Robinson, Mark McKenzie, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest. Can't argue with that.
Okay, I'm glad. No arguments here.
Okay, but the arguments begin immediately after that. You've got Tyler Adams and Johnny Cardoso working together as your defensive mids.
Yeah. So Pochettino obviously plays 4-2-3-1 in his lineups.
So I guess Tyler Adams roams forward, Cardoso sits back.
I would reverse it. I would
reverse
say,
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So look,
this is not what I would do.
That's fine. Well, this is why we have our own individual opinions. And then in the midfield, at left wing, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna at the 10, and Tim Weah on the right, and Balogun up front. So this is, I think, really the controversy for a lot of people might be the Gio Reyna. And Gio Reyna, whatever club he ends up at, and you know has a good enough season to be called back in.
I don't care if this guy's playing in the Canadian Premier League. He needs to just play,
and
get minutes.
I mean, maybe look, we know all the drama and everything. Gio Reyna is that good.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. I don't know what happened in the locker room. I don't know discussions between.
Do you remember
the other
your toxic ex in college? But that head game was crazy. Remember that?
That's what. Yeah, all familiar.
Remember how much you put up with because you're like, I don't know though. You know,
I can't get rid of it.
She's on my mind.
It's causing lots of problems in my life. But
bro, she tried to burn down my house, but still, it might be worth it.
And that's kind of how we see Gio.
Yeah.
Where it's just,
which he will not appreciate that reference.
But it's just. He's that good, and we've seen him play in person. We've been to Germany to see him play. We went to Mexico.
He is
to see him play there.
Exceptional talent when the
good.
ball is at his feet. I don't know what happens before the 90 or after the 90. We ain't there for that. All I can say is he was lovely when he spoke to us.
Yeah,
you can see a personality brewing that it's like, oh, you feel like a wide receiver or a striker, like. I'm him, bro.
Yeah.
And I can see that, and I can see why that works so well on the pitch. If I would love for him to be the starter, I don't know if he will be though, but I would love.
I would love that too.
I would love for him to get to the place where he can confidently be the starter.
Yeah, I don't know how he affects the team morale, the and all the other stuff, but it's just like we met him and we interviewed him, and he's a good kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a nice, he has a little bit of swag to him, and maybe it necessarily hasn't been the best things or the best behavior at certain times with the national team. We know he was obviously upset to not get starts at the World Cup. That led to all the other drama. But man, he's that good. And then, but more than anything, it's the chemistry that he has with those other players.
And that by the way,
it hasn't been recreated with anybody else.
If he's balling, then I have a lot of confidence in Balogun up front and Pulisic next to him, because we saw that in spurts when under BJ Callahan. Man, it was beautiful the way they all started connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I need Gio Reyna to be a part of that.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at mine. And I don't think it's like a crazy difference, right? I've got Matt Turner, right, as my goalkeeper. I've got basically the same backline, not basically, exactly the same backline. Anthony McKenzie, Richards, Dest, right? I'm going with a 4-3-3 just because that's typically what we do with our 11s, right? But I could easily put this in a 4-2-3-1. I've got Weston, Tyler, Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman being your attacking, your 10 in this situation. Tyler and Weston. Tyler sitting back, Weston doing whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, Weston, bro, your position is wherever there's space. Wherever you think you need to be, my guy, you are up top. And I'm going to ask you the same thing that I'm going to present here, because I there's a bit of a conundrum with both of our 11s. I think there's a little problem. Up front, I've got Pepe being your sole 9, and I've got Pulisic and Weah. Pulisic on the left, Weah on the right. We need to fix something here, because even with your 11, there's a big problem, and it's down that right-hand side. Tim Weah has been playing right wing back, right back. He's been playing right attacker, at points striker. Mostly, he's really good at getting up and down on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So is Serginho Dest. There's clearly going to be a little bit of like a bottlenecking on that right-hand side because Serginho Dest's magic is him getting forward. Tim Weah's magic is him getting forward. There's not enough room for both of them.
Yeah,
on that
but
side.
You would imagine, given that they both and Weah understands Dest's position pretty well because he plays it. You would understand, or you would think that he would be like, all right, is Dest going forward? Let me drop back, and he could still either send it across or do an overlapping run or whatever.
Wouldn't you agree though that both players, we benefit from having both players driving into the box at defenders? Less for Dest, for sure, but that's what Tim Weah's magic is. And Dest is really good playing on that flank. Can they play together? Is that too much of the ball being on that side? Especially if Pulisic's on the other side. Like if Pulisic's on the left and he's dominating the ball, what's happening? You got two players sitting there, no one defending?
Yeah.
That's going to be a big gap. Do you have Dest sit back further where his magic isn't really further that much further out, like 25, 30 yards away from goal? It's not really where he's best at.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not particularly worried because they played together, several times.
Sure.
And it has looked pretty good. And I think the threat of having Dest, even if he's sitting kind of at the in the half space, kind of like top of the box.
Top of the box, yeah. The Odegaard area.
The threat of he's probably not going to shoot from there, but the threat of him getting the ball up. And the link up and where it pinches the defenders back. It pushes them back in a way where they have to worry about it a little bit more than if it was probably, Scally on that spot or where
Scally's not running forward.
Exactly.
But he's a much better 1v1 defender.
Agreed.
Than Dest.
Yeah. So it's a
Dest adds a another layer of complexity for the other team to try to figure out.
Sure.
I think we need him. There's dynamism there. I'm wondering if maybe we see Weah be the striker. And maybe somebody else on the right-hand side who won't get clogged up with Dest.
Or maybe
he
the strikers are too good.
Maybe he pulls in as a second striker next to Pepe. Pepe likes to roam a little bit.
Sure. I mean, where's Balogun in all this? You think he's just not? He's not.
I think Pepe's more goal dangerous.
Well, is Pepe staying at PSV?
He hasn't made a move yet.
Yeah. Because I know he has interest from, was it like Nottingham? There were a couple like even Premier League clubs that were interested. So this is all obviously
the best case scenario is the young moves and he becomes the main striker.
Yeah, this is all dependent on like obviously what year these players have. I mean, and it's going to be super important because when it comes to international matches, they're not going to play in Gold Cup. A lot of them, they have to have good seasons. They have to stay healthy. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys.
We need to light a Pochettino candle, bro.
Yeah. The only regret, and I regret that word, but like even with my lineup, maybe Cardoso over McKennie is probably not the right decision. But there's I'm trying to guess what the next season is going to look like and what would sort of work best. And that's my predict. Either of them, I think, would be fine. McKennie's the guy. McKennie probably has a better chance, obviously. Yeah. But there's. I'm just like trying to think of like what is this next year going to look like, especially with Cardoso at Atletico Madrid. You would think his level is going to go up to a whole new place. Okay. Let's talk about as far as positions that are solidified. Because there's some that are solidified and some that are still in question. Where do you see positions that's it? We know.
For me, the striker is still in question.
Okay, so that's up for grabs. All right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the striker is still something, and we've had a little bit of this conversation, but if you're looking at the available, and we know there's more names, but all right, we got Balogun, Pepe, Sargent, and Haji Wright, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those seem to be the best in question. We have to try to figure out who in the next year puts themselves in a position to be the starter. I've only seen Ricardo Pepi get stronger. I've only seen Ricardo Pepi get more minutes.
Yeah.
I've only seen Ricardo Pepi prove to more and more people that he should be the starter over arguably the captain and the lead, not arguably, over the captain and the leading goal scorer of PSV. So if people are calling for that, it feels like in the next year, we're going to see him grow. There are more questions for Valerian Balogun. Can he remain healthy? Can he be the guy we saw at stints at Monaco? Can he all of a sudden get back to the goal scoring form that we saw before? He undoubtedly is the best with the ball at his feet out of all of those names. But if you're not playing at the highest level, if you're not playing it fully informed, you don't deserve to be the starter. And I have a feeling Ricardo Pepi is just going to continue to get better and better and better.
Sure. Well, I mean, they're both coming back from injury, so we don't know exactly what they are going to look like. Pepi getting injured when he did,
What the worst time?
deflated.
Yeah.
Just he was on a goddamn rocket ship, bro.
Yeah.
And the heat on him was fantastic. And then just got this. He would have continued. PSV would have. They got humiliated in Champions League, and maybe that doesn't happen with Pepi there. Who knows? I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah, so obviously positions that solidified. Pulisic at the left wing. That's it. I mean, there's no real question there. I think one of the center back positions in Chris Richards, I think that is a lock as well. Left back, Anthony Robinson. Right back, Serginho Dest. I guess maybe if Serginho Dest doesn't come back to what he was, maybe this is up in question. But that is Serginho Dest's spot to lose.
It's solid. Yeah.
So we have one of the center back positions that I think a lot of people could fit in. I chose Mark McKenzie. You thought who did you say?
I think I also said Mark McKenzie for my 11.
Sure.
But I also could see Austin Trusty getting that spot.
Yeah.
I could see Miles Robinson potentially getting that spot. I could see Austin Trusty getting that spot. Just again, versatility. You know what I mean? Someone that is good with good aerially, where I don't think Chris Richards necessarily shines. I think Chris Richards is your most solid center back. But Tim Ream, again, if come the World Cup, he's our starter. We failed as a nation.
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty ridiculous.
38-year-old center back.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, and I'm not saying that because of age. I just think like he actually looks like he is. It's like he's slowing down. He's just not looking as sharp as he used to.
He's probably great with positioning, but he's also going to be the guy that gets targeted in every game because he's just not going to have the recovery speed.
It's weird. It's like he left Fulham, and when he left Fulham, he was still in pretty good form.
Yeah,
and he goes to Charlotte, and
you would assume that level is different. Like he would be
maybe it's like playing in the heat, maybe compared to like a different temperature and stuff. I don't know what it is.
Surrounded by great athletes.
Yeah, that helps as well. Let's do a quick game here as well to wrap this up. The striker. So we have to we do like a bit of a Mad Libs game of trying to decide this striker needs to blank.
Right. If Valerian Balogun, as an example, is going to be the starter, then he needs to blank.
Yeah. So you want to go first?
Sure. We're going with Balogun?
Yeah.
All right. If Valerian Balogun is to be the striker, he needs to score more than 20 goals next season.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
You gotta, that's what you
a little bit.
You proved.
Yeah, I mean that will do it. Yeah.
You proved you could do it.
Valerian needs to win Ballon d'Or. Be the striker.
Ballon d'Or. It's right there. No, honestly, you need to score more than 20 goals. Prove that you are that guy that we thought you were.
Okay.
Prove you were that guy that deserves to be the number one. There is no number one for the 9 position right now.
Okay.
There's no one written in pen. There's no one written in marker. You gotta go out and ball out. Yeah, you play well when you're blah blah blah. Nah, you gotta ball out. Show me you deserve that.
Okay. For next up, I'll do for Pepi. Are we each giving? No, we go one at a time. I don't think we need to get each one. So for Ricardo Pepi to be the starting striker for the USMNT, he needs to be the leading goal scorer on his team, whatever team that is. So it will just be inarguable. He is too hot, having too much on too good a form, too sharp, that Balogun is just like, we appreciate for you making the switch and joining us, but this guy, he is he's basically unstoppable, and it's something where no one can doubt the decision anymore.
You.
So so how about Josh Sargent, which is a name on the fence.
Yeah, on the fringe. Unless you're a Norwich fan, then you're thinking this guy's automatic. If Josh Sargent is going to be the starter come the World Cup, then Josh Sargent needs to play on a team in the Premier League or another top flight that values him over just chasing long balls. The last time we saw him in the Premier League, it was rough. It was not fun to watch.
Yeah.
He was on a team that played a really pragmatic style, and it was really, really difficult to watch. And then to see him try to do what he does best without them playing that way, it was uncomfortable. I want to see you on a team that doesn't play that way, that values you in a position that plays like an Arsenal does, or maybe like a Chelsea does, or maybe like a Brighton does, where it's a bit more attacking, there's a bit more flair, there's more being asked of you, because I need to see you do more than just score these wonder goals in the championship. Can you do it at a higher level? If you do that, then have all the confidence in the world that you deserve that spot from the beginning.
Okay. Next up, Haji Wright. For Haji Wright to be the starting striker for the U.S. men's national team, he needs to get his team to the Premier League. He's gotten close. He has been a big factor of Coventry getting into the championship playoff, but 2 years in a row hasn't been able to close it out. So I think having that pressure and having that experience, I think, is helpful for the national team. He scored at a World Cup already, and but he needs to be that leader on the team to get his team into the Premier League. So we'll see if he can do it next season. Okay. We went through all of them. All right, cool. I thought we didn't. All right. Okay, last thing. Before we're gonna talk Gold Cup in a little bit, and we'll talk about Christian Pulisic. He was recently on Call It What You Want, on the CBS podcast, and we'll talk about those comments with his dad as well. But what's going on right now with around the World Cup? There's been a lot more concern, especially with we've seen all the protests that are happening in LA.
I wonder why there's concern. Everything seems to be going perfectly fine in this country.
It is a strange time, right? Because this. During the '94 World Cup, this wasn't like the discourse that we were having.
But don't forget, that was 2 years removed from the riots in LA.
Sure.
So there was also some questions around that time of is everything all right over there?
Yeah, but
now it's a bit closer.
And now it's just with the magnitude of having an event where the world is you are the host for the world to come to your country, and there is a responsibility of hospitality, of like, come. This is what the World Cup is about. It's about sharing the world's game, sharing cultures. Come to my country. We'll show you what things are like, and the food, and blah blah blah. And it helps the economy, and so there's a lot of really positive things. But with everything, with the protests and ICE. Taking people, splitting families, going into schools.
Everything's gonna be fine. They're gonna be security.
Everything's gonna be fine. And then they were like, "We gotta hire these guys."
Yeah.
No, it's clearly what it feels like is like there is clearly pressure from the government to be involved in this in some sort of, whether it's like to wash their image a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
of course. I think that's hopefully like best case scenario. That's it, right?
Yeah. So
it's not to try to arrest fans that are coming here. But there is a fear from people that maybe they don't want to come to the games in the US. They want to go to the games in Mexico and Canada.
Right.
And that's not necessarily what you would want from being a host country. World Cup, for a lot of people who are listening to this, you're already fans of the sport. But if, God forbid, this clip goes to someone's listening to this that isn't a fan of soccer, this is like the Olympics. You want to show your country in the best light.
Yeah.
We're not really preparing for that right now. Not the way the world's looking at us right now. Not the way we're acting right now. Maybe there's the bravado or the ego of the president wanting the World Cup to be like the biggest tournament and the best ever in U.S. history.
I don't think he cares.
He's referenced it.
Right.
Maybe in a way that stops this from being as horrific as I think a lot of us are afraid it can get.
Yeah.
So maybe in a way, but I don't have a lot of confidence that that's the case. I'm to be honest with you, a little worried. I'm getting messages from a lot of people that are involved in the sport outside of this country. They're like, "Yo, man, you think it's gonna be all right?" I'm gonna be in LA next week. I had people asking me like, "Yo, should I even go to LA?" Like, yo, blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not the governor. I'm not the mayor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to tell you that you should be confident. All I can tell you is that we're not the people you're afraid of. Like the people who love this sport aren't the ones you should be worried about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I mean, look, my
If you was going to a NASCAR event, I probably wouldn't
Respectfully
go.
now.
Respectfully, yeah. I'm just saying I probably wouldn't go if you were Mexicano, you know?
I'd say this. My big fear is that somebody goes to a World Cup game and gets detained. Because another thing for Club World Cup, they're like telling people like bring your documentation just to.
Oh, good.
And this
good. This is great.
This is no way.
Go to a sporting event.
Yeah.
Make sure you bring your papers.
Yeah. This is no way to enjoy the sport, and obviously it's no way. It's not sustainable to live in a society like this where people are where you enable a force to be able to do this. That's not sustainable. But then to live through it and be around it and be worried about it is ridiculous.
Even if you agree with what's happening, right? Are you confident that you want to bring your wife and kids or your significant other and your children to an event, knowing that it could be upheaval? You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you agree with that, is that really what you want in a sporting event?
But also, if you agree with that, you are a bad person.
Oh, yeah. Let's get that out of the way. Also, I don't want you to go to the game.
That's a bad thing, and you
have
should
you
know
heard
that
of NASCAR?
NASCAR taking all these shots.
Taking lots of lumps.
Strays, bro.
I know they're trying to change their image.
So
I actually want to go to a NASCAR event. I've never been. So.
Neither have I. All right. So So look, it's on our minds, and look, we're I think a lot of people are trying to do everything possible so that isn't the case. But yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous situation about it, and look, and we're trying to speak up about it, and I think a lot of people are as well. So all right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're going to talk about Christian Pulisic, and we'll talk about Gold Cup coming up this weekend. All right, we'll be right back. I have some important news. There has been a venue change for the Dominican Republic against Mexico watch party. It was originally scheduled to be at the Hudson, but we have outgrown demand. There are too many people that want to go, so we have gone to a bigger venue. It is going to be at Bronx Brewery now. So we're going from Washington Heights to the Bronx. Same old Dominicans out there as well. It's going to be dope. But Saturday, June 14th, 7 p.m., doors open. Come through.
All right, welcome back to the show. We got to talk about this because Christian Pulisic and Landon Donovan, have risen to the top of the trending charts, as if they put out an album.
They're on the Billboard.
I hope for them, a lot of streams. But obviously, there's a little bit of back and forth going on, and now Christian Pulisic has answered via call it what you want on CBS with the homies. But here's Pulisic's quote. It said, "I did want to be a part of at least the 2 friendlies. They said no. They said they only wanted 1 roster. It's coach's decision. I didn't understand it, but it's their call, and he respects it." Do you think this answers questions or creates more questions?
It creates one other question.
Exactly.
It doesn't sound like Pochettino was like, "Hey, all good. Go take a break. I'm sure you need it." It sounds like he's saying, "Oh, you're not willing. You want to just do this halfway,
right?
And you don't want to play in the friendlies and the Gold Cup. No, we need somebody that's going to be all in, playing all the games. I only want 1 roster. Right. I'm not changing it up after the friendlies." So that is where it begs the question: like, is Pochettino not happy with Christian Pulisic? And there's no. And we don't.
We're trying to parse something from.
Yeah, we don't necessarily need. That answer doesn't really matter because Christian Pulisic is the U.S. men's national team. Yeah. He's going to get called up every single time. There's no way he is not. Right. But it just gives the notion that like, hey, maybe he's not happy about this, and just kind of saying like, hey, this is like a boundary for me. Like, right. You don't want to play? Then no, you're not going to just do the 2 friendlies. And it's a little bit of like, if you're Christian Pulisic, don't even say the 2 friendlies because it doesn't align with the story of like that you're fatigued and that you've been playing a lot of games, which I completely understand. If he would have said, I don't think my body is just ready and capable to even play in these 2 friendlies and let alone the Gold Cup. I really wish I could be there, but I think it's better for me for the future that I take a break and rest from these matches. But by saying, oh,
Exactly.
I'll play in the 2 friendlies. It's like, all right, well,
Let's rank the best case answer, which was one, what you just said. I'm actually too tired completely.
Yeah.
My body is broken down a little bit. I need to rest. This season was a lot more intense. And if I'm going to have a good season next season and be ready for the World Cup, I should probably take this time off. Difficult to take, but easy to understand.
Yeah.
Second best case scenario is he says, I'll play in the Gold Cup, but I can't do the 2 friendlies. They're friendlies. So let me sit out the friendlies and I'll play in the Gold Cup. And Pochettino said, no, I want 1 roster.
right.
The worst possible is I said, you know what? Let me do the 2 easy games and then y'all can handle the competition on your own.
Yeah.
And Pochettino said no. So what now we have to do is read into this.
Yeah.
And what it seems to me like is Pochettino was like, oh, you only want to do 2 friendlies? Nah, man. I only want to have 1 roster. And you was like, oh, okay. All right, peace. And you're like, well, that wasn't the answer I was looking
Thanks for
for.
understanding,
Yeah.
Mo.
Right? Yo, babe, Poch gets it, bro. And he called Weston like, yo, don't even go, dude. He don't want us there.
You're good. Don't even text him back.
Don't say nothing. We good.
chilling.
Yo, Landon said he got my back. He's gonna say some stuff. Basically, what you've done is you kind of told the world that you didn't want to be a part of the competition. And if that's because you're fatigued and you're this and you're that, I can't blame you. I do not know what it's like to be a high-level athlete. I have 0 clue. All I can tell you is we don't have a lot of runway, man. You know what I mean? Like, we have 1 major competition before this World Cup, and you've chosen to sit out that competition. So there will be questions asked of you, and this does not. And you know what? In a way, and I hate to say this because I think he's a good dude down inside, the blame lies solely on your feet now, Christian. Not you, Christian Pulisic.
What did I do?
Yeah, did you tell him not to go? Because this is what happens when you are, I can only assume that he's not the most comfortable on camera and on mic. So what I take from the way he speaks when he's being asked questions differently than when he used to do the streams with McKenny and those guys, you know, the gaming stuff. When I see someone who either has an answer pre-thought in their brain or pre-scripted, or 2 is going through the machinations of like, how do I answer this correctly?
Yeah.
That media speak because you're afraid to be yourself on camera. Whether that's maybe you're just afraid of public speaking and you're not that vocal of a dude. From the documentaries, it seems like that's exactly what it is. I'm only guessing. But when you only do the coach speak or the media speak, when you do the media training talk, it ends up like this, where now you leave more questions open versus answers that you've given. You need to find a way. And I've said this before, give us 3 weeks with this man. And I will show you how to speak confidently on camera.
Cooligans boot camp.
Bro, I'm dead. Honestly, who's better than us to do this?
Sure.
You cannot go your whole career being the guy that answers every question with like, as soon as you do that, I know you're answering the way you were trained to answer.
Sure.
As soon as you hit the because you're buying yourself more time. You need to find a way to be confident on camera. You're the captain of this team. The World Cup's about to be in this country. You cannot keep going forward going, well, the coach said this and I said this. No, you need to say, I was fatigued. I cannot handle it.
Yeah.
I spoke to the coach. He would have loved for me to be a part of the roster. I told him exactly what position I was in, blah, 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 with my physical health. And he said, you know what? Don't do it. Done.
Yeah.
There's no questions now.
This could have been a nothing issue. And then again, it leads to Landon Donovan making comments. Tim Howard
Clint Dempsey, Tim Howard.
And
they're talking about your heart. They're not talking about your physical health.
Exactly. Or like your commitment to the team. Yeah. Which, you know, in the interview, he did say that was the frustrating thing, that he didn't like his commitment to the national team question. And then Tim Howard is responding and being like, yo, he DM'd me. He was upset. I told him to call me. He didn't call me. I told his dad could have called me. And it's just like, bro, it's getting...
Look at where we are now. Also, you can't change the situation. You not being a part of the Gold Cup squad is going to have people like Tim Howard and Landon Donovan and Clint Dempsey challenging your commitment to this team and your heart in these moments of playing for the United States national team. There's no question. That's what caused it. You change that by answering that question or coming out before that happens to let everyone know what the situation is. And when you're doing the, well, blah, 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 the robotic answers. Now there's more for us to divvy up and figure out.
Like pick apart.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's not, and maybe this is just a
3 weeks. You ain't in the Gold Cup. Come here.
This is that like in a maturing thing and growing up thing, and to confront these things. I think ahead of the controversy, which and this is why it's a talking point now. Okay, all right, let's move on. Let's preview the Gold Cup and the Gold Cup challengers. Maybe some players to watch and some teams X factors outside of obviously USMNT. We'll start with US first, but for me, as far as like players that could make a difference,
this is the X factor.
X factor that where they could be the difference between winning and losing the Gold Cup on the US. I think Diego Luna. This is his big opportunity to step up, make a difference. I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's playing great for RSL. A couple good performances on this in this Gold Cup, I think could change the trajectory of his career.
I could see that. For me, I'm going to go Tillman.
Okay,
I think Tillman has put himself in the position where if Gio Reyna doesn't get a starting job and is balling out the way we know he can, Tillman is going to be that 10.
Okay, for Mexico.
I'm going to say Raul Jimenez, bro. He seems like he's back. He seems like the head injury that was caused against David Luiz, he's gotten past it. And this could be maybe his swan song. He's getting up there in age. This World Cup could be his last. With Mexico also hosting games, this could be really, really big. So I think Gold Cup, he could be the X factor.
Yes, he was very important, obviously, in Nations League. And we'll see if we could do it again this summer. For me, Cesar Huerta, Anderlecht player, but a player in the last 2 years who has been
100%.
Also who has been an important player for Mexico, but also stepped up in that I want to make sure I beat US. I want to make sure I beat Canada, and
he's become a heart and soul player as well.
Exactly. We saw that the Dos Santos brothers. There were moments of just you could tell there's a pride in it, and Cesar Huerta has been that guy to me. All right,
Canada, why don't you go first?
For Canada, this might be a shock to some people, but Jaden Nelson, Vancouver Whitecaps winger, has been fantastic.
Speed demon.
Kind of out of nowhere kind of thing this season, and scored not just big goals, some significant goals in CONCACAF Champions Cup, but playing with a confidence. And I think this is a reflection of the entire team. But he's been great. And I think if he can, again, have a good international tournament, I think that he could be a big impact and big reason why
I can see that. Canada plays as a team. And that's why I'm going to say Jesse Marsh. Nobody wants to watch US lose more than Jesse Marsh right now. And for Canada to win this thing would be absolutely massive. And it would be a huge FU to
has Canada ever won? Has they ever won Gold Cup?
I think they did win the Gold Cup once.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's Carter will double check. All right.
While he looks, let's go to Panama. I'm going to say Murillo.
Yeah.
Murillo is a great player. He plays at Marseille. I think, yes, he plays left back or center back defensive, but he gets up there. I think he's a stabling force.
Former Red Bull.
Yep, former Red Bull. I think he plays a stabling force. And very clearly, if Coco Carrasquilla is not on the pitch, you say, yo, Murillo might be the best player on this team.
Interesting. All right. For me, Panama, obviously, the Tu eres mi ídolo, Cecilio Waterman had the iconic moment in Nations League with Thierry Henry. But look, a very impactful and effective player for Panama. And
if he gets going, he's dangerous.
Yeah, I think he's going to make a big difference. All right.
Saudi Arabia, we both picked the same one, which is Hervé Renard.
Yeah.
Because that's the only guy we know on
we
the
don't
squad.
know. We haven't, we don't watch the Saudi Arabian players as much as we probably should. But
I would like to remind the Saudi Arabian national team or the league. I'm willing to put a hyphen after AL in my name and be. I'll go to Saudi Arabia. I'll be Alexis.
Alexis.
You think I won't, dog? I will be Alexis, bro. Happily. But right now we don't know your squad that much.
Right. But the interesting thing here is that Saudi Arabia is obviously invited to the Gold Cup. Before Qatar had been invited to the previous two. But Saudi Arabia is fifth on as far as bettors.
Favorites.
As far as favorites. And they're betting that they are the fifth most likely to win, which would be...
they're fourth.
Oh, fourth.
My bad.
Jeez, fourth.
Carter, you're fired.
Wow.
But
Cody, your first betting to be fired. That's crazy how that works.
but no, which is kind of wild for an invited team. Yes, I mean, look, Saudi Arabia, they have the historic win in the World Cup against Argentina.
Sure.
And
what else? It's crazy.
So pretty remarkable that they are there. So as far as
who do you think is going to win
the whole thing, I've said in the past, I don't think the U.S. is going to get even to the final. I think Mexico wins it. They had a strong Nations League, and I think they are good enough to win this tournament.
Mexico is getting better.
If they can get past Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia is going to be tough. I think USA, baby. And the reason I say that is because you have to walk in with the confidence that this USA team, regardless of being the B or C squad, has the depth and the players and the tactics with the Mauricio Pochettino to win this thing. If we walk into it not thinking we're winning it or should be at least in the final, then we've already failed.
All right. Well, I guess I failed you, Alexis.
Yeah. Well,
Alexis.
You think I won't? 2 years, no taxes, right, guys?
Imagine.
You think I can't call into this show?
We'll do the show for a little while.
Yeah, buddy. You know what? How about this? If I get the deal, I'll flying you guys out.
They're going to be like, nah, Cooligans at their peak. Why would they go to Saudi right now?
Yeah, bro. Great time to make money.
All right. Well,
also, we love the league.
So we're going to talk Club World Cup right after this. So come right back. Club World Cup kicks off this weekend. So let's talk about the groups. We'll talk about all the teams. And let's start first with who do we think makes it out of each group? Group A, Al Ahly, Porto, Inter Miami, and Palmeiras.
I'm a little worried about for Inter Miami.
I'm a little worried. I don't think they get out of the group.
I don't think they get out of the group. I think this is going to be Porto Palmeiras.
Okay. I'm gonna say Porto and Al Ahly.
That's crazy.
I think they get out. Okay, Group B.
I like it. Group B. For me, this is very clearly going to be PSG, and I think Botafogo.
Interesting. You think Atletico?
I think Atletico Madrid is not going to make it out of this group.
No respect for the Sounders.
Come on,
in this group,
I don't even know what button.
Atletico, Botafogo, PSG, Sounders. I think PSG, Atletico get out of this group.
Okay.
So we'll
for Group C, for me, I would love to see Boca Juniors make it out, but it's very clearly Bayern Munich, Benfica.
It would be
Oakland's amateurs, by the way. No disrespect, they're a mostly amateur team. So shouts to you that you got this.
They just happy to be there. Yeah. Have a good time,
bro. Take a lot of photos.
But anybody besides Bayern and Benfica would be a controversy.
Group D.
Group D. Chelsea. How do you pronounce this name? Esperance?
Sure. Why even bring it up? They're not making that good. I think it's going to be
what country do they play? I don't even know.
Who cares? No disrespect. Chelsea and Flamengo.
Watch what the Esperanza supporters clip this out.
Remember, my name is Christian if you're listening to this.
Flamengo and LAFC. So
I say Chelsea, Flamengo.
This is the one here where I think Chelsea and LAFC get out of this group. I think this could be a little bit of the surprise.
I can see that. Group E is not easy to decide, right? Because I think everybody's like, all right, Inter Milan, but then the rest there could be some surprises. I think maybe Monterrey shock everyone and get out of this group along with Inter Milan.
I could see that too, Riva, and it's really there's a little bit of bias because I watch some of the Argentinian league matches and it's a little chaotic for me.
A little. So it's a volleyball game at some point.
If when I think of that style of play, I'm like, how could it work in the tournament like this? So that's why I agree with you with those two. Urawa Red Diamonds are also in there.
Good luck, buddy.
Good luck.
Group F, what do you got?
Dortmund, Fluminense, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Ulsan HD. So this it feels like just a name recognition. Dortmund and Fluminense should be getting out.
That's what I'm going with as well.
So
Group G, it's very clearly going to be Manchester City and Juventus. I don't even know why we're talking about this.
So,
we could skip. Are you picking anyone else?
I'm not picking anybody else.
So let's go to Group H.
Group H, Al Hilal, Pachuca, Real Madrid, RB Salzburg. I'm going
to say Al Hilal, Real Madrid.
Interesting. Okay. Salzburg not making it through, I think, would be a pretty big disappointment for them, given their pretty solid Champions League club and stuff like that. But I would agree with you there.
Al is like low key stacked. They got Mitrovic, Milinkovic, Savic, Koulibaly. They're low key stacked. But what about dark horses?
As far as
let's define a dark horse. Someone we don't expect to immediately be thought of as a winner, but could sneak through and really make a stink in the group stages.
For me, it's Benfica. I
could see that.
They have deep runs in Champions League. They're a solid team. Always difficult for even in the later stages of Champions League. So it wouldn't be too much of a shock if they win the whole thing. So they're my dark horse.
For me, I'm going to say FC Porto. FC Porto consistently in Champions League punches above their own weight.
Sure.
They're one of the teams coming out of the Liga de Portugal that I think can play in other leagues pretty easily. Maybe not always win, but they could stand their own with most other of the big five outside of Liga de Portugal. So just like Benfica, pretty standard. Those guys win. They always battle out to win Liga de Portugal, but I think Liga de Portugal has come up a few steps, so I'm going to go with them.
Okay. Current favorites to win the whole thing.
PSG.
That feels like the safe.
They won Champions League. How they not going to win this?
We had the recency bias is real.
The only thing is maybe they don't even want the $100 million. We got so much money, bro. We don't need it.
All right. How about this match that you're most excited to see?
Ooh, what about you?
For me, I was getting some stick for this.
Wait till you guys hear this.
But the game I'm genuinely excited to see,
out of all the games
available in the group stages, the Seattle Sounders against PSG.
What?
This is we've had Stephen Fry on the show.
Do you hate the Seattle Sounders? Why do you want to watch this snuff film?
I'm not necessarily expecting it to be completely brutal. I want Stephen Fry has been on our show, I think 3 or 4 times. There's that personal investment because I want to see him be able to compete. I want to see him do well. And also shout out to the Seattle Sounders for protesting and talking about the division of pay for the Club World Cup.
This game ain't gonna help you win that argument, is all I'm gonna say.
So I really want to see how that game goes. Yes, I don't expect the Sounders to win, but I want to see what level are the Sounders at versus the Champions League winner of UEFA.
I love MLS, but I think we know that answer. PSG are incredible, but hey, shouts to you. I'm going to go with Real Madrid versus Al Hilal for the same reason I just mentioned before. Al Hilal are actually low-key stacked.
Yeah.
And if Real Madrid walks into that thinking, it's one of the Saudi teams, I don't need to worry about it, they could get worked a little bit. A lot of these guys have played against Real Madrid level teams before. Can they put it together? I don't know, but I'm going to be interested to see if maybe Real Madrid kind of ghost walks into this and they get sort of chin checked a little bit.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the last question is who wins it all?
Yeah, we have our favorites of who, in general, people expect to win.
We know the favorites, the Champions League.
Exactly.
Winner, but who do you actually think wins it?
I think maybe it's controversial, but I think Real Madrid could win this.
I thought you were going to say Seattle Sounders. I actually thought.
Okay, they're not getting past anything, Stephen Fry. He's our friend.
Yeah, he's been on the show multiple times.
But I think Real Madrid, they don't have to face Barcelona, which is that is their kryptonite, and Arsenal, they don't have to face Arsenal either, and worry about Declan Rice and his free kicks. I think they could do it. They are a team that consistently for a long outside of this year only. They win tournaments and Xabi Alonso, his introduction. Yes, it's a little bit. It's essentially a preseason.
What better than this for a preseason though? A competitive tournament though.
Right. But Real Madrid is still Real Madrid, and to ignore their capability of winning any tournament, I think it's a little bit ridiculous. So I'm gonna say Real Madrid.
I'm interested to see what Xabi Alonso does with Mbappe, but for me, it's the team Mbappe left, PSG. They're very clearly in the best form possible. Luis Enrique has proven to the world.
Could they face each other? We don't know what the grouping is out or how, but imagine not even a final, just at all. Like even in a quarter or a semi.
That would be exciting.
That's how the Club World Cup becomes something significant.
If they're not going to listen to me and force Cristiano Ronaldo to play in Miami,
Did you see? He like answered the question. A reporter asked him if he would go play Miami. He said that it's not likely. So
not likely just means you got to toss a little bit more. A little bit more money on there.
All right. So that is Club World Cup. Gold Cup starts this Saturday. There's a lot going on. There's
a lot going on.
Just a reminder on YouTube. You can go check out our interview with Jonathan Fania. He is he's a Dominican soccer legend, but we spoke to him in the lead up for, of the opening of the Gold Cup, which is on Saturday. All right, let's wrap it up there. We'll be back on Monday. We'll have a lot to react to. The USMNT will have played on Sunday, so we'll talk about all of that on Monday. So make sure you lock in with the Cooligans. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe.
Hit that like button.
Follow us everywhere. Follow us on Blue Sky at soccercooligans.com on Blue Sky. Get over there ASAP. All right, we'll see you Monday, everybody. Have a good weekend. Vamos, República Dominicana. Peace.
Love you guys.
Yeah, Christian Pulisic is getting a lot of heat right now. And if you want to see where that started, that started with Landon Donovan's comments. And if you want to watch that video, just click on my face right here.
Yeah, hey, if you want to subscribe, click right here.